10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team pick.
Drow Ranger.
Faceless Void.
Alliance.
Ogre Magi!
Radiant team pick.
Oracle.
Alliances turn to ban. Radiant team ban.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 here at the Betway WCA European Edition. Alliance versus Elements 1, lower bracket elimination. Alliance taking game number 1. Elements 1, now 1 loss away from elimination. Let's hop into this draft again. These teams not wasting any time. Only 1 second of reserve time used thus far, so we are deep in it. I'm Zayori, joined again by Android. What's going on here, Annie? First pick, Drow Ranger again, but this time for Elements 1.
Turn to pick.
Hi, Annie. First pick, Drow Ranger again.
Hi. Did you forget to unmute
Yep.
for the entire intro? I knew it.
How you feeling here, game 2?
I'm feeling pretty interesting. When I saw the first pick Void come out, I'm like, oh, all right, Elements 1 are doing that again. And I'm like, no, it's Alliance. We just switched first picks, but I'm excited to see what Alliance are going to do with it. If they're going to put that in the position 1 spot and let Loda try his luck with the Chronospheres, or if we're going to see Bulldog pick it up.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as well. I think more likely to be the Bulldog hero, but totally open-ended. One of the reasons why he's so great to first pick here. Elements 1, curious to see how they do with the Drow Ranger. I think having an Oracle alongside her is pretty darn good. You need supports that can keep her alive, whether it's a Dazzle, Vengeful Spirit, Oracle, Earthshaker. People that can peel, give her a reset, keep her immune to spells and physical and all that good stuff. I think there's a lot of synergy there for sure. Ogre, also a good choice for Alliance. Bloodlust, not a bad thing to have with the Faceless Void, especially if it is the Loda hero and he's in that position 1 role. Having that extra movement speed, attack speed is it's good stuff. So what do we got here? Tinker Mirana banned out. Now Ursa for Alliance. This is pretty interesting. I would say Ursa, one of the few carries in the game that doesn't really synergize that well with Bloodlust. He doesn't need attack speed. The movement speed helps, but he usually goes Blink Dagger, jumps right on top of you anyway, so it's not a huge deal, though he is sometimes susceptible to kiting. More so, hardcore melee hero, and not the most synergy with the Faceless Void. You can still use the Void to break up team fights, but might be hard for Ursa to get in those right clicks.
And a Vengeful Spirit picked up with Drow is super, super common. It buffs her up. It makes her essentially have carry tier damage, even if she doesn't build any carry items. What I'm wondering about the Ursa, do you think it's possible we see mid-Ursa here and you just get this big old beef boy strat that runs at you and doesn't really care about right-click damage?
I doubt it. We'll see what Elements 1 put mid, but Ursa's one of those heroes that has to have a good early game if you want him to have a big impact. A lot of that revolves around Blink Dagger very early on, Lifesteal, usually Vlad's, early phase boots, stuff like that. Aghanim Scepter, also a pretty good item if you can get it in a timely manner on him. So I think they'll put him safe lane to guarantee the farm, or they'll put him in the jungle if they want to do something really greedy. That's always an option, but now much less likely given that Lion has been picked up, likely to be their greedy position 4. Unless Alliance really want to have some fun and do S4 Lion mid, I'd say about a 1% chance that one happens, but hey, you never know. After that first game win, I think they could get a little bit creative here and still maybe just best Elements 1 because of their, raw experience advantage. So we'll see. But now Tidehunter the 4th for Elements.
Yeah, I think they're going back to tried and true. This is a very TI-looking draft. Just go in. You've got a really nice, sustainable offlaner. Should be able to hold his own up against whatever Alliance throw at him. And Drow Ranger Venge should be able to apply a decent amount of harass. I'm liking what Elements 1 are putting out a lot more this game than last. It feels very synergistic, whereas Alliance, they're just picking up a bunch of big melee heroes, and Lion's going to be some nice utility, but can they actually go through and close the gap between them and Drow? I don't know.
10 seconds
Yeah, a lot of 2 Blink Dagger carriers, and then Faceless Void with his Time Walk can engage. If he gets the Blink Dagger, I guess potentially a 3rd Blink Dagger carrier. So a lot of ways to close the gap and jump in her face. Medusa now for Elements 1. Okay, that ensures some late game for them. When paired with the Drow and Vengeful Spirit, Medusa can definitely get involved early. This will not be one of those games where we see Elements 1 play a defensive kind of AFK farm style and hope that Medusa can hit critical mass. They will 5-man, and Medusa will participate in these team fights for sure. But now a fun pick for Alliance, the Templar Assassin for S4.
I think Alliance are getting really creative here. I think they've got time to kind of play around, see what works. This is not exactly the most synergistic lineup ever. I think individually the heroes can be strong and bloodlust synergies are great, but I mean, just think about Chronospheres. Like, what the hell are you gonna do about that? Templar Assassin's range is pretty poor. I mean, there's not much Lion can really do to drop on you. I don't know.
I think you're underestimating both Lion and TA with the Chrono. Remember, Lion being able to just get off mana drain on Medusa can be value in team fights, so that can be pretty effective. Finger is also a good tool against her. TA, especially if she gets a Dragon Lance, that solves some of her range issues. And I think she has more than enough range to benefit from the Chrono. Ursa is the big one that there are so few, like you have to Chrono so perfectly with heroes right on the edge for Ursa to be able to get off the damage without being caught in the Chrono himself. And that is very difficult to do in the heat of the moment when there's a lot of moving pieces and the enemies are delta splitting and not making it easy for you. The thing about the Medusa pick I don't really understand is you've got Lion to drain some mana already. You've got a lot of ways to deal with Lincolns. Like Lion is incredible at breaking Lincolns if that's a build she wants to go. And Faceless Void, a really effective tool against Medusa. If he goes for this Blink Manta Diffusal build, the mana burn is very effective. He'll be able to deal with that mana shield from her almost no problem. He can catch her in fights. I think it's one of the more effective tools against the hero. So a lot of pressure on Elements 1. I think they've picked themselves a draft that is a little bit difficult to execute with here. But at least they won't be playing with that big cooldown disadvantage. Now Tidehunter's Ravage and Chronosphere from Void will be on similar timers. Alliance can't skirmish quite as much as they did in last game. So at least in that effect, it's a bit more even.
Yeah, I think Alliance are going to have to find very, very strategic opportunities to go in. They can't just kind of keep charging like last game. Now, bottom lane, oh, no, we are not going to see Void try to engage on that. You could tell Bulldog was thinking about going in for that time walk, but quickly changed his mind. So 1-1 rune split, nothing going to be coming out. Stack Roche attempt is not going to be successful, unfortunately. And, well, going back to the laning phase, we might see EGM stick around a little bit mid to try to help S4, but for the most part, should be very calm lanes as opposed to last game.
Yeah, fairly standard lane setups as well. With Alliance, you know pretty much what they're going to do, especially with their hero player roles. Looking at the side of Elements 1, Oracle as well as the Drow Ranger in the safe lane. Swift Ending taking the pretty lady there. And dual lane mid, Milan harassing S4 already and trying to secure some space for the Medusa. They're sacking the off lane, at least at the start. Mitch going straight into the jungle on the Tidehunter. As the Iron Talon, Courier survives. Milan will also survive as he dives the tower.
Alright, so just sitting back with those refraction charges. Meanwhile, bottom lane, we're just going to have a 1v1. Everyone match up and start hitting each other, but I think this is going to favor Elements overall if they're able to force back the Void. They forced out his Time Walk spell, and now just sitting back, EGM's going to be a bit level starved, and yeah, he can go in and keep bludgeoning LeBron, but in the end, it's not really going to get a whole lot accomplished for the lane.
I mean, this is exactly what Ogre wants to do, though. You pick an Ogre to be a bully at these early levels. This Oracle absolutely cannot go blow for blow with him. So EGM, I think, doing a really good job just harassing back the Oracle, preventing him from stacking and pulling and getting all of that experience. That is the main disruptive part here. If the Oracle had free reign of the jungle, he could stack, pull, and get a lot of experience himself, but having to deal with the Ogre as well as Ogre threatening to leech all of that valuable experience, it just makes LeBron's life a lot more difficult in general. He has to play much more back than I think he would like at this stage. Bulldog now even getting in on the action, using the Time Walk aggressively just to posture him back behind the tower.
Yep, again, you mentioned this top lane being completely sacked for Elements 1. I mean, Loda on his Ursa getting a lot of farm here. This Ursa can spiral out of control. Yeah. He's already sitting with 12 last hits.
So, on the point we were just talking about with Ogre harassing the Oracle, just look at the difference between LeBron, who's had to deal with EGM constantly in his face, versus Pablo, who's just been left to his own devices. This line's already level 3, killing this deck. They're keeping creeps away from the tower for the most part. They shove in now as I say that. But there's a lot the supports can do in the jungle if left untested, and this is putting LeBron pretty far behind. Oracle's the support that needs levels, and being capped for this long will start to have an impact.
Look at Admiral Bulldog not giving a hoot about these frost arrows. He's going in. He's bloodlusted up. He wants to make something happen, but Bulldog, please relax. He's going to be going in. Ends up
Nice
taking one of
Fortune's
those
End.
spells from Oracle, but Fortune's End not going to be doing too much. He just backs off. EGM sprays out the garbage, and Drag goes back to farming.
Yep.
But there's starting to be a really big discrepancy between Drow's last hits and Ursa's just because of the pressure.
Yeah, and just a big difference in last game. Much more bloody before here. Both sides just playing a quiet,
Look at Milan's positioning
early
right
game.
here.
Looking for a courier snipe potentially. We're about to hit 3 minutes though, so a delicate timing. 3 minutes rolls over, does not find it. Unfortunate for him, a little bit of wasted time there. How's Mitch doing? Level 3 on the Tide Hunter. A little bit tough for the Tide. Not the fastest jungler, but he can do it pretty effectively.
And
He's
if he's
about
got
on
his
par
shoes.
with where Bulldog is right now.
Down
yeah.
bottom, there's going to be the rotation in. Milan leaves the mid lane, going for the bottom. They are going to latch up EGM, but Ogre's not exactly the easiest gank target. And look at Bulldog taking everything up there. He's going to be unlocking him in place. He goes for the time walk, is able to get it off. Just moments away from death there, but gets most of his HP back and actually gets healed up by the Oracle. So thank you there. Definitely helping out my buddies.
Yeah, mid lane, very even. S4, and I don't know how you actually pronounce this name. Bad or Hari? That R in the middle is what throws me off. I feel like there's a missing syllable in there, or a missing vowel, or vowel in there. It's a missing vowel. Oh, God.
You having a little struggle there, Sayori?
Words struggle today. But it's a very even farm here in the mid lane. They're within 1 or 2 CS of each other. Kind of what you would expect. Neither hero really has much kill potential unless there's a rotation or the higher levels come out. So Mitch heads up to the mid lane, leeches a little bit of XP, now goes for this hard camp that was stacked up once. Ursa really pulling ahead, though. You hit the nail on the head here. So far ahead of the Drow Ranger, nearly tripling Swift Ending's last hits right now. Loda having the dream start. He's picked up the Morbid Mask already.
Bulldog's figured out his bash key, just goes in and smacks onto Milan. Does barely get punished for it. His regen's pretty great. His poor man's shield doing a lot of work, and obviously Bloodlust is just keeping him nice and frisky. He's just having the time of his life here in this tri lane. It's barely bugging him at all.
Yeah, experience starting to drift in favor of the Dire side as well. Alliance already with a 1k gold, 1k experience edge, and a lot of that coming in the supports. Venge, only level 2 from all that roaming around, just now hits 3. LeBron, very early into level 3 himself. Lion still farming away in the jungle, partway on his quest to level 5. All the while, Loda finishes off the tier 1 tower in the Radiant off lane. Not even close to pushing the tower of their own. Still, Bulldog's tower here, completely unscathed at full HP. So already, things looking good for Alliance. Nice strong lead here in this laning stage.
Yep, I mean, you've got Ursa, who's super capable of taking Roche right now. He's level 6. He's got himself the Morbid Mask and the Poor Man's Shield. He can rotate whenever he wants to, but why would he leave this? This is paradise. This is creeps just being handed to him on a golden platter, and no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, very defensive tri-lane for Elements. They're keeping 3 heroes locked down here, and Bulldog is now by himself, so this is turning into a pretty efficient lane for him, distracting basically 3, stopping the Drow from getting the last hit she wants, and still leeching a fair bit of experience, and now his supports can rotate around the map and find farm in other places. EGM starting to stack Ancients for later.
So Milan just went for a completely solo smoke to try to get into the Roche pit to scout out for Ursa,
He's
but
just going to ward here.
Yeah.
Scout out, ward. No other way to get that ward down at this stage
About to get
without getting
punished.
sighted, and he might still get sighted. Yeah, S4 has the trap. TP home, EGM, can he get in range? Nope, he does not have Fire Blast anyway. Yeah, there you go. 2 points in Ignite. A little bit
I actually
surprising.
really like this build from Ogre Magi. When he has to go sacrifice his levels that deeply, he gets so much more done with Ignite. Yeah, a Fire Blast could maybe stop that TP, but I think just, in terms of overall pressure applied to the lane, it's helping Void out so much to have those 2 points in Ignite.
Yeah, the damage increase is
mid lane.
fairly significant. Medusa, a lot of trouble here. Does have level 6 Stone Gaze. Does get 2 petrifications as Mitch rotates
There's
in.
the
I think he
Ravage.
will live. Can they turn it? Pablo in a lot of trouble. The right clicks to bring him down. First blood drawn by the Medusa as they turn it the other way. Great rotation from the Tide Hunter. This time they benefit from having him in the jungle as he is right nearby.
Yeah, I mean, that was very, very late for his blood, almost 7 minutes in on that, but
Yeah.
it took 2 big, long cooldown ultis, and in the end, they only get down a Lion, so not necessarily the worst trade in the world, just forcing out those spells, and at that point, Lion already had a decent amount of farm anyway, still sitting on 1,000 gold even after his death. I think Alliance overall still in a completely fine position, and Loda, look at this guy, he's a fiend, just going in.
He's going in on
Goodbye,
Milan. Yeah, nothing you can do there is the Venge. Painful. A good initiation, hiding in the tree line, just cruising on in. Lions setting the whole thing up.
Radiant's bottom tower
1-1, Alliance getting so much more farm. Look at that net worth, and it tells the story. Loda, #1 by a really good margin. He should be at the Blink Dagger pretty soon. Okay, he went for the Phase Boots first alongside the Morbid Mask, so slowing down the Blink timing a little bit, but he doesn't really need it, honestly. He's still happy as a clam to find this farm.
Yep, I mean, you've got the Dusa, and I think a lot of people think of Dusa as that, like, super ultra late game, like 70 minutes, 2 rapiers, no boots kind of hero, but she can fight quite early, and I think she's going to start having an impact as soon as she gets her first item, but can Alliance really keep their momentum up? They are
What's
still...
that first item going to be is also another question. She's picked up Phase Boots, Aquila, pretty standard kit so far. I think rushing a Lincoln's definitely a mistake here. She's going to need to come online a little bit earlier than that, and maybe not come online, but I think you need early combative items. Maybe not drums, but Dragon Lance at the very least, something that gives you some extra stats, something to play around with so you can actually stand your ground in team fights beyond just the Stone Gaze. I think it's going to be crucial this game, absolutely.
Yep, Dragonlance is a must, but if you look at Medusa's farm, just compare that to the TA. TA already kind of walking around on her, feeling really good. Overall net worth is going to be in TA's favor, just by a little bit, but Templar Assassin can transition that into fighting with her team much more effectively than the Medusa can.
Yep. Old Loader here, moving into the Roche Pit, nice and early at 8 minutes. He does not go for the Blink Dagger, instead Mask of Madness. A great tool when you're ahead. Obviously the drawback is a little bit mitigated when you have level advantage, your team's just overall a bit stronger. You can go in bold, they try to run away, Mask of Madness lets you chase them down, and it allows you to farm much more quickly, get from camp to camp, and kill creeps faster. So, able to take out Roche, Elements 1, not contesting this one, and it will fall. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, S4 looking for the setup.
Yeah, this is about to be big there. Bulldog goes in. He's going to get gusted up, so Brief Silence can't get off the Chronosphere he wants to, but yeah, they get the slow there. Swift ending will meet his fate right there. They go for the Chrono. They do catch out LeBron. Not exactly the most important kill in the world, but definitely still something to focus on right there. LeBron doing everything he can to keep himself alive, but most likely to no avail. Bulldog has another leap forward in 5 more seconds. We'll see how deep he wants to dive this, but knowing Bulldog, he may not give up so easy.
Yeah, a hard kill to get. They still have the tier 1 tower standing. They get the high prize kill. They kill the core hero. Oracle surviving at the end of the world. That's 4 taking some damage, trying to defend this tier 1 tower. Good work from the Medusa. Puts pressure on the lane while everyone's rotating bottom.
Yeah, Rava just back up, and I think they know there's no refraction. They might be able to turn this.
Fingered in the top lane. Solo kill for Pablo. That is a 10-minute Blink Dagger on the horizon for this Lion.
Alright, now S4 going to be doing everything he can to try to keep this tower alive, but is going to have to back off in the end. And no deny available. Oracle gets the last hit on that in the mid lane. Down bottom there will be a trade though, as Bulldog able to secure his first tower of the game. Now Void's sitting on a big chunk of pennies, most likely a Blink Dagger coming up for him quite soon.
I'm actually kind of curious what Bulldog looks for here. We've seen the Vlad's offlane Void most commonly, but offlane Voids are also not getting this kind of farm in your average game. So rushing the Blink Dagger could be pretty potent alongside the Blinks that they'll already have coming out. Loda, I guess, feeling like the initiation is not going to be the problem. They have plenty of ways to start these fights, especially with TA traps to slow people down. Instead, he's just focusing on damage. Blade of Alacrity, either a Yasha or the Diffusal Blade coming out. Both could be really good, but a Diffusal against the Drow Ranger at this state is devastating. No way for her to get away, and of course upgrades his right clicks to have the mana burn and do that much more damage. Mitch with a Ravage available, scouting things out. Looks like this will be a free tower for Elements 1. Alliance already used the glyph and not really in a position to mount a defense, even though they are smoked.
Yeah, I mean, this is the power of that Drow Stride. Everyone gets that nice little precision aura walking through, and they are able to clean up buildings very quickly, and they do have the threat of the Ravage, the threat of the Stone Gaze, so it's not so easy for Alliance just to jump in and 1v1 him up. And there is going to be the smoke expiring. Loda wants to make something happen there. There is that Lion able to go through. He just shows up, blinks in. 10-minute Blink Dagger on Pablo, by the way.
Oh,
and, that's going to be a nice little kill there for him.
That was a misplay. Really poor positioning from the Medusa. Radiant side, limited ward coverage. They do have 3 wards down, but a lot of Alliance were off of the map. His team backs up, and he just lingers around, putting some extra damage into this creep wave. Easy for Alliance to punish there. Able to do that even without the Blink Dagger on Loda, like I was talking about. Lions has more than made up for it, as Pablo sets up another kill. Very nicely done. Seems like there's just nothing slowing Loda down this game. 2-0-1. He has the Aegis. This is one happy bear.
Yeah, he's still feeling good. Aegis should tick out in a couple more minutes, but for now, we've got everyone in Alliance in a position where they want to be. I mean, the only one kind of suffering here is the Ogre, but his job is basically just go around, click a couple spells, and walk back without dying, so he's fine being starved, he's fine being poor.
Yeah. Brawn, maybe the target here from Bulldog. Oracle, one of the better targets to isolate in the Chrono. Even if they don't find the kill with it, isolate their one get-out-of-jail-free card and the False Promise, while the rest of his team does the damage if they can latch on to somebody else. Tier 1 tower mid will fall. S4 gets credit for that. Double damage rune on him with the Bloodlust. That's actually pretty scary. He's also picked up a Blink Dagger, so maximum mobility, it seems like, for Alliance. 2 Blink Daggers, 1 Mask of Madness. They're having no problems closing the gap, so to speak.
Yep, everyone's sitting around. I mean, Alliance have virtually the whole map to play around upon. They are scared when Elements 1 group up and start charging in, because the Ravage is a very real threat. They can follow that up with a ton of damage, but until Elements 1 group up and commit, Alliance just have a playground to work with.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think one thing that Elements need to do is try to fight around their ultimates a little bit more. They picked the Tidehunter. His first Ravage was spot on. Maybe they wait for another 150 gold before he gets the Mechanism to take another team fight, but this is an ultimate you want to utilize, and just sitting back, giving Alliance all this space, like you're saying, is not going to work out well for them. Alliance are obviously farming faster. Their Drow strat doesn't have the amount of momentum you would normally want at this stage. You look at that inventory, and she's still feeling kind of squishy. He's good. He's got
goes
time
in.
walk.
Sets up Mish for a nice little kill on that Ogre Bruiser, unfortunately. Now, top lane, we could have some sort of initiation onto the Ogre. EGM pushed out a little bit far. He does have a TP, but is there anything he can do about it? He goes in, he's silenced up. Goodbye, Ogre Magi.
Yeah, he's tanky, but still too much burst damage. Now down bottom, Pablo cuts him off as they lay into the tower, stun onto Milan. Mitch maybe looking for a big Ravage, TP in from the Medusa. Alliance will just disengage and no fight for Elements. I think Alliance are just happy to force a rotation out of Elements like this to see 4 of their team members come down. They will just retreat, farm the enemy jungle on their way out, which is great play from Alliance. Even though they're not killing them over and over, you look at this Radiant jungle and it's completely cleared out. Nowhere for Elements 1 to farm safely. And you look at that graph, you can feel Alliance pulling further and further into the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Medusa's one of those heroes that you leave her alone for long enough, eventually she'll start having an impact, but you've got to kind of augment her farm with a couple of kills, and so far, she's not really having the best luck participating in these team fights. We've seen her try to rotate a couple of times, but always ends up just a little late to the party.
S4, another invisibility rune, looking for a setup, maybe onto Swift Ending. He does have his Dragon Lance. I think this will be a quick end. Finger from the Lion, and a few more right clicks. No teammates nearby to keep her alive, and the Drow Ranger will once more fall to the wrath of the Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, the big pickup here, you got Tidehunter with the mech sitting back. He's got 500 more gold if he wants to go for, you know, I don't think a pipe is necessary this game, but he could opt to finish Greaves. He could go save up for his Blink Dagger. So he's going to start to have an impact at some point. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Chrono smacking onto 2, but Bulldog may have bitten off more than he can chew. He does have the leap away. There's going to be a swap to keep the Deuces safe, but everyone wants to disengage from that. Well, they might not get the chance there as Ursa waddles in. You've got Mitch still threatening the Ravage, so it looks like Alliance will be forced to back off. All of Elements, unfortunately, gonna stay alive, unfortunately for Alliance at least. And top lane, Alliance picking their next target very selectively.
This is a really tough game for Mitch. You can tell this Tidehunter is eager to use his Ravage, but Alliance aren't committing to a hard 5v5 push. They're splitting around the map, they're applying pressure in different areas, and it's making it difficult for him to gauge, when do I actually want to use this Ravage? If he popped it on Loda there, they probably wouldn't have gotten the kill. He had the Enrage on, so he was pretty survivable. Down bottom, Bulldog was going blow for a while. He had the bench to bail him out, but they still couldn't quite find the kill. Medusa rotates down bottom. Bulldog still gets hit by the snake. Of course, he can't disjoin it with Time Walk, so we will have to TP home, but he does live, and he went for a Drum of Endurance. Kind of interesting to see this build on Bulldog. Not the standard for offlane Void, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's going to help with their push a lot if they actually opt to go in for structures and go in and push as a unit. Then it does help them out a lot for that, and it also helps the runaway because Alliance may continue to bite off more than it can chew in some fights. But for now, yeah, I agree. The Elements 1 aren't really getting the most out of their ultimates. They're threatening their ultimates a lot. They're keeping that Ravage at the ready a lot, but we've really only seen one of them, and they could get a lot done with Ravage Stonecase.
Desolator out on S4. Big damage dealing item. So far he's just had the Blink Dagger, moving into now the Glass Cannon Templar Assassin build, and a lot of these heroes will be very susceptible to it. Relatively low armor across the board. They've got a Ring of Aquila, so that kind of helps, but they really need a Vlad's just general team armor items to try to deal with this a little more effectively. Their prize Medusa, only 11 armor, so that -8 from S4 will really hurt, especially, or -7 rather, especially now that he's got a double damage rune.
Bulldog still no Chrono, but definitely threatening Elements 1. He is playing like he is just an absolute god as Templar Assassin goes in and destroys the bench. The bat onto Mitch. He's trying to go for the Ravage. It will connect. The risk if the Stone gets to follow up. But Loda, he's feeling great. He's still got his ult rocket on the back line. Can they actually finish this off? This could be a nice Earthspike from the Lion. They're going back in. Mitch going to be kept nice and healthy. Going to be hexed up. They want the fight to end here. They want Loda to live. The swap forward comes through. But there's S4 just to charge back in. And Mitch being kept alive, helping everyone else with this mechanism. Now S4 could be the one in trouble. His Refraction going to burn off. He's silenced up. Radiant Courier coming in. Not going to get picked off this time. S4, most likely the one to drop. Actually kept alive by the Purifying Flames for now. And there's going to be no Gush available. The blink away means S4 gets out alive after occupying 5 heroes chasing him.
Wow, they still kill the Void. It's pretty much the dream team fight setup for Elements 1. Now we'll pull up the replay here in just a moment, assuming no other fight breaks out to follow that up. But that's the way they want to use their big ultimates. The Ravage straight into Stone Gaze, setting up those purifications. Very nicely done.
Alright, so looking at what everyone's picking up. Ogre, again, still pretty poor, but out farming the 2 supports and Elements. They're really not getting a whole lot. Oracle sitting back with just a little magic stick and some arcanes.
All right, looks like we'll have a lull in the action here, so we're going to take a look at our instant replay. Things start off with a Ravage from Mitch. Now in comes the Medusa. Bulldog, Loda, and EGM all locked in place. Lion just can't get there in time to turn things around, and they do get the kill on the Faceless Void. That's all they get, though. Loda almost falls, but he makes it to the high ground at the last second. Milan has a good play to try and swap forward, but can't quite catch him. S4, they really wanted this kill. That would have made it a very convincing fight, but he just barely makes it out. That little bit of help from EGM with the Bloodlust, and as you mentioned, the Purifying Flames in the end just don't quite have the damage, and he is able to blink away. Very nicely played. Alliance, they're at a point, though, Annie, where they can afford a couple of missteps here and there. They still have a pretty staggering lead, 7,500 XP in gold, and remember, we're only 18 minutes in, so very significant. Roach number 2 now underway. Loda looking for his second Aegis.
Yep, and that's going to be a pretty big play from him. Loda's now at that point on an Ursa where he just wants to jump in, constantly find kills. He's saving up and should be able to afford his blink very soon if that's what he wants to go for.
Yeah, no doubt about that one.
Threatening that Chronosphere. Again, his positioning needs to be spot on because your big main damage sources are the Ursa and the TA. TA can kind of hit inside the Chrono, but Ursa, you've got to get him right on the edge there.
Yeah. Still doing a good job controlling Elements so far. I'm, again, surprised at this Void build. I thought rushing Diffusal Manta Blink would be the name of the game because the mana burn is just so damn effective. Ursa, if he can get on top of the Medusa, though, he's already got the pretty effective mana burn himself with the Mask of Madness on. Smoke now from Alliance, looking for the opening to take this fight. Elements grouped up themselves. It seems like they almost want to smoke up as they're grouped up about this tower, maybe anticipating a rotation. Loda on the high ground. We'll take a look at Dire Vision. They're scouting them out. They see most of the heroes on the minimap.
Oh, they're jumping in. They want this so aggressive. Bulldog does have his Chrono, but does not want to trade with this Dusa in her own territory, so leap back from him. Alliance just got another chance to reset. Again, everyone's still up. All big ultimates are at the ready. So we'll see who's going to be the first one to jump in. S4 gets those refraction charges burning, but Medusa now has to squiggle back in defeat. There's going to be a group up there. Chrono connects into a bunch. The Ravage putting Bulldog in an inopportune position, but they are going to bring in Pablo there. Nice Earth Spike connecting onto a couple on the back line. Loda ripping everyone apart. He is angry. That is a bear you do not want to tangle with. And now Mitch, he's going to be slowed down. There's not much he can do. There's a Hex up on LeBron. He's going to get burned down by the Ogre. It's going to be kills left and right. A full team wipe going in Alliance's favor. Yeah, that fight didn't start out so hot, but they get exactly what they want, and they don't lose anything in return.
Absolutely. Clean 5-0. The initiation from Bulldog, or really counter initiation as it turned out, was absolutely on point. It broke up that combo from Elements. The Tidehunter had an okay Ravage. It sort of seemed like, oh, this is good. Now they can't kill anyone in the Chrono, but really, the load was blown, and Alliance were able to just clean it up so easily. Loda was able to get in a perfect position. So many right clicks, so much devastating damage, and now Alliance just moved towards the high ground. Buybacks limited for Elements 1, but it's so early on in this game, it actually looks like they will respawn in time to possibly make a hold at the barracks. Remember, with Aegis still in tow, Alliance can still fight. Chrono, the only big cooldown they don't have, their right clicks still really add up. They are going to linger around.
Oh, EGM could be in some trouble. Immediately picked off. Loda now limping away again. He's got the Aegis, but I don't think you want to stick around for this. They lose the TA. If they can get out with nothing else lost, Alliance still get a net gain in that fight with the Paz team wipe and a full set of full tier 3 taken out.
Absolutely. S4 getting petrified at the end there. That was just unfortunate. Medusa was standing here facing this way, and the TA was trying to run like this, but it was just in the periphery and enough to get the petrification and secure the kill. So able to do that without any buybacks. Like you mentioned, a very minor pick-me-up for Elements. Hard to call that a win after losing a 5-0 fight, as well as your tier 3 tower in the mid lane. We should see these inventories start to jump up. Medusa and Swift ending now with Yasha's a piece to go with their Dragon Lances, but 2 Diffusal Blades now for Alliance. Blink Dagger up on Loda. TA has to be close to her next core item. Yeah, BKB on the way. Ogre Club, Mithril Hammer already in the inventory, just waiting on that recipe. They're still in great shape here, Annie, no doubt about it. The BKBs will make Mitch's life even more difficult on this Tidehunter.
Yeah, what do you think we're going to see Ursa go for here? Do you think Loda has to pick up that BKB as well, or can he go for some more raw damage?
No, I think BKB is the name of the game.
Pablo, please have mercy.
I don't think he can solo kill this. He needs help, and Loda's here to help him out.
Oh, the Gusto keeping everyone healthy. Swap forward from the Venge. Actually trying to turn this onto Loda. Maybe not the hero you want to re-engage as he just turns and starts ripping apart the Venge, but oh, the H is busted. There's the Finger of Death in the back line. Pablo getting it done. 3 in the Chronosphere. LeBron immediately punished, so we can't save anyone else. And now it looks like everyone's just getting pulled apart. There's going to be that slow. Mitch cannot do anything but slash his anchor in defeat. And Swift ending, bashed up in mid-air, trying to pluck that bow, but fresh out of mana. No more frost shots for you. And Swift ending dies as well. Another team wipe going in favor of Alliance, and they don't lose anything but an Aegis.
Back-to-back 5-0. Yeah, I guess 5 for Aegis technically, but very minor difference at this point. Alliance just massively ahead, 16-5, 23 minutes in. We talked about it last game. Heavy favorites coming into this series. Elements won. Well, not a bad squad, but just not on the same caliber as Alliance. Veteran players here on this Swedish team get almost the last outer tower, top tier 2. Not going high ground quite yet. I mean, they have the luxury of being in complete control. Elements 1 obviously can't take team fights, so there is not much pressure on Alliance to end this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going through, they're farming up Radiance Ancient so casually. And just looking at the net worth chart, overall it's going to be about a 15,000 lead for Alliance, most likely dipping over to 20,000 in the next couple of minutes as Alliance continue to farm and Elements starve. And individual breakdown, your top 3 heroes on the chart are going to be Alliance heroes, so all your cores getting more than your Elements cores, which is where you need to be.
I mean, look at Lion. He's about on point with the Medusa. That's...
levels are a really big thing to take a look at, too. Both supports on the side of Elements don't even have their level 11s yet.
Yeah, good call on that one. 3 heroes on the side of Elements at the very bottom of the 10-player hero level chart. That is always scary. TA already 16, capped out as Elements will smoke up one more time. Up is 5. I mean, this seems risky, but they've got to take some risk. They're so far behind. Turtling up in their base is not going to win this. They've got to do something crazy, and smoking up is 5 with their ultimates is... kind of crazy.
Oh, Pablo. He's about to figure this out.
He breaks it.
Breaks the entire smoke group and just blinks away.
Oh, Pablo. Well done.
I like this guy. He's good.
Elements 1 thwarted again. Noble effort, but no way they can make it happen. Now the BKB is up on TA. This is where things get really scary.
Yep, everyone's sitting back, and I mean, Elements 1 know Alliance are completely in control of the game. Can they sit back and try to take a high ground defense, or do they have to keep going for aggressive rotations like this?
Well, they only have so many smokes. Let's take a look at the old shop and see what the Radiant is working with. Smoke of Deceit. They are out. 2 more minutes. So that's not an option. They don't really have a choice but to be a little more defensive at this point. Is there still... Nope, the Aegis was down. Let's take a look at Roche. Still not sure what the timer is. So can't really think about
mid
Roche.
Lane. Oh, Pablo
no.
with a double Earth Spike to follow up. There's the Finger of Death. They pick up the Oracle, and unfortunately there's just going to be a Deuce sandwich. No way that guy gets out alive.
No buyback on the Oracle. Medusa might have to here. 50 seconds till she respawns. A lot of buybacks available on Elements 1 in general, but they are not in a position to defend. All 3 of their remaining heroes out of the base. Tide's starting to rotate around. They don't have a glyph. It's down for another 2 seconds, and it'll cost them the melee barracks. What unfortunate timing for Elements 1. That right there is just bad luck. 2 seconds left. They could have delayed. They're on their barracks. Maybe made a hold.
They just denied their range racks.
Yeah, I mean, that's cute. funny that it doesn't say denied either. Destroyed by the Tide Hunter.
To be fair, he did destroy his own racks, but I think
not
when
inaccurate.
you're at that
Bulldog's
position...
up to 3,700 gold also. So Blink Dagger, Manta, those kind of big items are coming out soon. I mean, they're already controlling this Medusa perfectly, but that will make it all the more difficult. I mean, he could almost solo kill her at that point if he catches her in a chrono.
Yep, I think Alliance, they just got to go and rip off the Band-Aid and get the job done. One set of racks will certainly help them out. I mean, is it going to come down to one big fight in the base, or do you think at some point Alliance or Elements just roll over dead because they start starving?
Pretty much the latter. I mean, Alliance are doing a good job starving out the map, and they will continue to pull further and further ahead as they farm. Alliance may be thinking about third Roche as something they want to wait for. It will be a longer respawn, a little bit past the average, 2 minutes on the additional timer. So if that's what they're waiting for, it'll cost them a little bit of time. I think for Alliance, it's just about finding the opportunity. If they
Here we go. There's
out,
going to be a Hex. Pablo getting the job done, going for the mana drain. There will be a slap back. Milan going in. They do get the Ravage off onto 3, and there's going to be a Stone Case to follow up. But it looks like Alliance are just so gosh darn tanky. The BKBs doing what they can. And it looks like, oh man, there's so much damage. I don't think that Oracle lives through this in the back lines. There is going to be a courier kill going down. EGM just sitting there, making himself nice and beefy. There's nothing else left in the tank for Elements, and they're all just going to be picked off. Nice Hex there, cancels the TC, and Mitch left to fight up against very big Alliance here as the GG calls as the third consecutive team wipe comes in.
Wow, very convincing game for Alliance. S4 losing his Crystallis there at the end as the courier came flying overhead, but 2 games very convincing for Alliance. Elements won, of course, the team that replaced Team Liquid in the bracket, as Liquid did not have their roster in order in time for the Betway WCA 2016 European bracket to get started. So, our hats go off to Elements 1. They